Yo, what's good? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. Just wanted to holler at y'all real quick. It is April 21st, 2021, and I wanted to talk about the Derek Chauvin verdict. He was found guilty of first degree murder, not first degree murder, second degree murder, third degree murder, and manslaughter. And that's great. That's good. Second best possible outcome, right, of what happened that day when George Floyd's life was taken. What would have been the number one best outcome? Well, when Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes, the best outcome would have been that the crowd of people that were surrounding Derek Chauvin as he was snuffing his life out, at least a few people grabbing Derek Chauvin and pulling him off of him just to prevent his death. That would have been the best outcome. But you know why that didn't happen? And I can't blame these people for that were there. That didn't happen because of the culture of policing in this country, right? Because the police are protected. They have this qualified immunity, and they can do whatever the hell they want, right? With impunity. They can get away with it. And, it's very rare that something like what happened with George Floyd or Derek Chauvin happens, where he's convicted of those level of murders, right? And if it was as it should be, if policing was as it should be, then every time a police officer goes out on a call, they should hesitate when they decide on how to act, on what type of force to use, right? And how they use that force. Derek Chauvin used force that was what they said was, taught in during training in part of what is supposed to happen when they deal with suspects that are resisting whatever. But what the problem is, he did it for way too long. The knee on the neck thing, way too long. 9 minutes. There's nothing that says that you can do it until somebody dies, right? You do it until someone is subdued or they're compliant. He did it beyond that. George Floyd was not resist. He was handcuffed. He was on his stomach, chest down, and he was not presenting any threat. And then he passed out, and you continued to do it. And then not only did he pass out, but the police officer, your fellow police officer, told you that he had no pulse, and you decided to continue to stay on this dude's neck. And then you had a nurse there telling you the same shit. Like, look, man, you're doing too much. That's the problem. He should not have felt comfortable enough to do that with all those people around him. And so what needs to change is, we need to change it to where when the police do that, we are able to stop the police from committing terrorism right there as it's happening, without us getting in trouble, without retaliation happening to us. So, yeah, Derek Chauvin being convicted of murder in all those instances was the second best possible outcome. Now, people say, especially those who don't agree with the guilty verdict, well, he was only found guilty because the jury was afraid of what might happen and the violence and this and the third. Well, maybe that's a good thing, right? Maybe that's a good thing, because maybe next time a cop goes out to deal with a call, maybe he'll think about that. Well, Derek Chauvin, man, he just got the axe for fucking doing whatever the hell he wanted to do, right? For acting like a plumb idiot, like for acting like a psychopath. So I know I can't just go out there and act like no psychopath probably and get away with it, especially if there's cameras going. I don't know what's going on. Maybe pigs will hesitate next time they decide they want to use force. And that's what needs to change, man. What happened? Let's say the jury did convict Derek Chauvin because they were afraid of what might happen, whether they believe that he was guilty or not. What that demonstrated was accountability to the people. And that's what I always say. Police need to be held accountable by the people that pay their salary, right? We pay their salary through extortion, of course, that they call taxes. But we pay their salary. They should answer to us. They shouldn't answer to politicians. They shouldn't answer to mayors. They should answer to us, just like the mayor should answer to us, and our representatives, our so-called senators and congresses, our so-called representatives, should answer to us. But that's the problem. They need to answer to us. It needs to shift. It needs to change. That's why I always preach about, it's better to have private security forces as opposed to municipal police, because with private security forces, there's competition. They have to bid for the work, right? So, and they have to, and when they get the work, in order to keep the work, in order to keep the contract, they have to behave in a certain way. They have to be held accountable. They have to behave as though their job depended on it, as though their livelihood depended on it, as though their life depended on it. They wouldn't be able to just go out and do whatever the hell they wanted to do with impunity. They would think twice. So that's what I'm saying. We need to hold these police officers accountable. And, one good start is to get rid of qualified immunity, right? Get rid of qualified immunity. And then you change the hierarchy to where instead of the police, being answering to the mayors and the commissioners and that, they need to answer to the people directly. They need to deal with the people directly. They need to know that there's competition. It needs to be changed from municipal police to private police, private security forces for the communities, so that the police are not influenced by all the politics and all the bullshit. That's what needs to happen. And that's just the reality of it. If you really wanted to change, if you want the policing to change in this country, that's how it has to happen. Just like in sheriff's departments, the sheriff is elected by the people, right? In certain rural areas, and that's a pretty good example. Not LA County sheriffs. I'm talking about like actual, rural sheriffs where there's like 2 or 3 fucking cops in the entire in the town or whatever, and they know everybody, and they know they can get their ass out there real quick. They can be replaced. That's what needs to happen everywhere in the country. So that's where I'm coming from with it. That's how you change that. You can't rely on these politicians to put up legislation, like the George Floyd Act. Yeah, that's going to do something. That's going to take away some of the protections, but they're still going to answer to the politicians, right? No, that needs to change. Just like the culture of politics in this country needs to change. The representatives need to actually represent the people, not rule the people once they get elected, because that's what happens, right? You elect these people, you think they're going to do the right thing by you, but when they get in office, they're there. They're locked in for 4 years or 2 years. They don't have to do shit. They can pretend like they're doing some shit for you, but they're beholden to the bankers. They're beholden to the special interest groups. They're going to make sure that they take care of them first. That needs to change as well. If you want to change things in this country, you have to shift the paradigm. You have to shift the ruling paradigm in this country. We the people need to rule over our politicians and the police. You see, the police are there. We just need the police there to protect the community, to protect and serve the community, not to run around as big as they please, thinking they can push people around. And the reason that we, because everybody, of course, everyone needs to be empowered to be able to protect and defend themselves. So the police should not be the first line of defense. That shouldn't be the first thing you think of when you call, when you're in danger. You should think of how you can get yourself out of that danger first. So you empower yourself by getting armed up, getting trained up, and learning how to act in different scenarios. Drill yourself to different scenarios.